actually go live just in the minute we got here. So who's hosting this week? Okay. I'm sorry I didn't get that stuff to you. We moved a freezer into our basement, and then a couple days later my back just completely melted. So I'm Oh, snap. He does. Well, there it is. Thanks, Bart. Hi, guys. See you in a second. So, at this point, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Grumpy Penguins, 360 grads, we're live, and it's good to be here. I'll be hosting this week, but this is not my channel. This is the legendary, the one and only. He's up there in the top, right up there. Jim Schofield from the C47. If you haven't been here before, you should subscribe because we do this every single week on Wednesdays. And we also have over here Ben Barden. I'm pointing backward. There we go. Nope, that way. Ben Barden, how you doing, brother?
I'm very well, all things considered. Thank you.
Good.
How are you?
And for those who heard me talking about my freezer, you're welcome. Glad I could share some tips there. Use a back brace, get some friends. Don't do it just you and your wife, and it'll be a good time. So, gentlemen, how are we doing? How are you two doing? Is everyone holding up? How's the chat doing? How is everyone's
looks like we've got some people
social distancing?
Yeah, well, I'm doing okay. I mean, my whole family's home, so that's good. Did a nice live stream this morning, which was a good conversation. Went for about an hour and a half, and here we have some familiar faces, some of whom were here earlier today, and then other ones who are popping in and now in the chat for Cameron Flask, including Eric Nazo and Jago and Shiznuts, and of course the infamous Grumpy Penguin, the car dude of them all. And then we got Guillermo Memo Montesinos, 360 grad Shiznuts, and George E. Kennedy Jr. from the DC area, Mike Morris from Portland, and all these lovely people, including you, David, even though I'm expecting you to say something cheeky in the next 15 to 20 seconds. Okay, there you
go. Eric, side note, I'm enjoying your not touching face live updates on Twitter.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a series. You should start a vlog. You should archive them. You should not touching face. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I figured if we're in kind of quarantine, which we've been in here now for proper quarantine for 3 days, I'm not seeing anyone. There's no germs in my house other than our collective germs. I'm not checking myself on the old face touching that much at the moment.
Just pick your nose for days. Who cares at this point? Andy, you're fine. Do it.
Yeah.
So let's get this party started.
Okay.
Ben, what are we drinking this week?
And if there was a week when a drink was needed, this is the week. So tonight I am on Steam Brew. Let's see if we can get some focus on that can. This is really good. This is like an IPA, or like an American IPA, I would say. It's like 8%. It is cloudy. It's really strong, and it's from Lidl, which is kind of like Aldi. If you have Aldi, it's like
no, we don't. Well, I mean,
German discount supermarket full of all kinds of great booze for virtually no money.
So your whole "I'm not going to drink beer before I go to bed" thing is it's like that's in the crapper right now because of what's happening.
So, right, yeah, two things on that. One, we're an hour earlier because you guys are on summertime, and in Europe we are not yet for another week. So this is now 1 hour earlier, which makes quite a big difference. And also, I've been at home sitting around most of the day. Went out for a little bike ride with my face mask on, and and we'll be doing much the same tomorrow. So therefore, the general level of tiredness and exhaustion at the end of the day is not in its normal thing. So I'm back on the beer, but yes, well spot.
Okay.
Nice.
Little audio drop out there,
see
but
what Jem's
all
drinking.
good. So not unlike the rest of the world, and Ben is going in and out. He may have to jump out of the room or something. Oh, he's back.
Tell your wife to stop, pirating movies and torrenting and
what's going on?
Eating up your
Netflix, Disney Plus, which is the worst streaming ever. The buffering on that thing is ridiculous. It's probably Frozen 2. That's what's happening. They're watching Frozen 2 right now, and the whole thing's going to the crapper. So myself, probably not unlike a few other people on this planet, had an epiphany when they had heard that possibly it's somewhere that not only were pubs were closing, but I actually heard in some place in the world liquor stores were closing. And I said, oh, no, that would be horrible. So I went down to the liquor store and I bought 3 bottles of scotch, and I bought a bottle of what did I buy? Oh, Belvedere. So this is nothing fancy. This is the cheap one. This is Glenlivet Founders Reserve. It's only about $33 a bottle, and that's a pretty good deal for a single malt. It doesn't have a year on it, but it tastes yummy, and I think I bought it yesterday, and I'm doing all right with it because it's coronavirus. So there we go. Let's go ahead. And,
it had a great sound. The uncorking there was beautiful.
It was a little Godfather. It was a little. I tipped my hat to the Godfather scene in the restaurant when they opened up the wine bottle.
Yes.
So, And how about you, Caleb? What you got?
Before I pop the cork, just cover your ears. Unfortunately, I can't mute my microphone with the software. Even if I do, it doesn't work. So I'm just going to
even with the subscription that I'm paying. What?
Yep. Slowly getting rid of all my back survival stuff here. Okay, got rid of the back brace, got rid of the ice pack. I'm ready to rock and roll, and this is going to help a lot. So today we are doing basil. What is it?
Basil
Hayden's. Still got the label on
Basil
there.
Hayden's, nice.
And there's a Caleb amount left.
I was going to say it's a proper Caleb bottle. We're down to less than a quarter.
Very nice.
Here we go.
You're amazing. You should be talking about Caleb here, Eric, not me. But okay, there you go. Beautiful.
And I love what you're drinking, Jem. That's a delightful beverage. I need to get some more of that.
It's a good like it's like a staple in the cabinet. Along with the Tatomatin 12-year double cask, which is also relatively inexpensive. I think it's time for us to start to... There we go.
Oh, here we go.
Slanjava.
Cheers.
Beautiful.
And chat.
Cheers.
Slancha na zdraví. Cheers.
Whoa, he's becoming a true Czech.
Okay. Now that our bellies are beginning to warm, let's hop into this here topic of this week. So today's topic is in the kind of the setup is in a world where viruses dominate the world.
Yeah.
Where at any moment's notice you might be in all kinds of peril, whether that be financially or other.
Yeah.
An interesting idea was, or at least I thought it was interesting, was what if you had to sell either everything or almost everything. So you have kind of two situations here. One, you're selling everything and having to, or you lost everything and you have to buy a super minimal kit. We didn't really set a budget, but just kind of what's the bare minimum for each of us that we would be able to work with. Or kind of the flip side, you have to sell everything and have a super minimal kit. So gone are the studios, gone are the tons of C-stands and, giant bins of grip equipment. What can you actually use that would help you out financially and you could use for, a video kit and keep making money? That is, of course, we're pretending that clients are still existing and that you're still doing work, and
we're pretending that
YouTube
clients are still existing.
all of that
They're
stuff.
pretending. Actually, we should have it. We should have the pretend client podcast. That would be a new podcast that somebody could start. The pretend client. And then people would come on. They'd basically be actors who are all out of work, and they would come on and they would pretend that they're a client, and then we have a conversation about a job. The pretend client podcast. What?
I've just come up with this amazing idea how to make money. I'm going to set up a premium rate phone line, and you can phone up, and I'll pretend to be a client. And I'll pretend I've got work for you.
Make you feel good. It's like a false sense of security. It's a morale booster for the duration of the call until the end of the call, and then then it's bad.
It's like that movie Surrogate with Bruce Willis. Have you guys seen that movie?
Never seen it. What happened?
Oh, it's a great movie. It's this world where there's these tanning beds you go in. Yeah, and you're remote controlling this body that can feel, but you look great, and you have an awesome job and all this stuff. But instead of looking good and being athletic, and having hair, if you're Bruce Willis, you in our world you have clients. Your IMDb looks amazing.
Yes,
you're friends with Roger Deakins, all that fun stuff.
I think if I were the guy in the Matrix that took the choice to just go back in, I might take it right now with the steak dinner and the glass of red wine. Yeah. It might be good at this moment.
This isn't real, but it's delicious.
It's delicious. Okay,
so
cool.
That's the setup. And chat would love some participation here, so definitely let me know what you would pick. So why don't we just go through categories? So shall we start with cameras?
Okay.
And does anyone want to go first? Or shall I set the stage?
Either of you guys or me, I don't care. Whatever you want.
I'll go first.
I'll go first. So you guys think about it, okay? So for me, I think one of the cheapest, best all-around cameras that I would easily be able to work with and I think get the most out of would be the good old GH5. I don't know. The camera's 2 years old now. Yeah. Change. And it's gotten quite affordable. I think you can pick one up and use for $800 to $1,000 or something. And I actually, I'm not using that for my main setup on YouTube, but I've been shooting more and more fancy looking B-roll. Which my next video is going to be really juicy in that regard. And I've started using my GH5 again. And that thing is just so easy to use. You can put it on sticks, connect to it with Wi-Fi, and have scope video, waveform scopes, everything LUTs on your phone, run around, change focus. It's just so easy. It's got a flip out screen, and then going handheld, if you're looking for just kind of a, not moving around and walking necessarily, because you get that weird IBIS jello, which is just life. There's no camera that can perfectly replicate, 25 pounds on your shoulder. But if you're holding the camera like this and you're looking at the screen, and you're not winging it around, you just want to get kind of a handheld look, it's so easy to do on that camera without anything else because of that smaller sensor, and there's just more room for it to move around. So that with a Metabone speed booster, is just lovely. Vlog is great. Low light's good enough. So that's probably the camera I would go with. That, maybe a couple of vintage primes, an adapter, and maybe
whoa. Now you're in lenses.
Oh,
backing up. No, go ahead.
Right.
No, we're not doing 45 minutes, Phil.
Got it.
Calm yourself, boy.
Excuse my dog. So GH5, I think the GH5, one or two of those at the price.
Nice.
Yeah. Completely solid choice. And I think if we were in the situation, I've come at this from the what do we sell mindset rather than what have we got with a limited budget, because I honestly believe for videos that the GH5 is probably the best value going with having the log, the stabilization.
And quick side note for anyone who's thinking GH4 but just a newer version, the GH5 is a completely different camera. The GH4 is awful compared to what's out there now, but the GH5 really does hold up really, really well.
Yeah.
Pray tell.
So GH5 absolutely, without doubt, I would say the best value camera going. But I was thinking more in terms of what have I got? What can I release the most money out of from getting rid of and still be able to function?
Totally viable way to go about this, 100%.
Right. And this is not that. It's a really weird thing, this not being an abstract conversation now. This is like, I've been through this week, and you're working out, right? Well, I've got this money coming in, this money coming in. That's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months of mortgage, electric bills, all that kind of stuff, the food. And then you go, right, if we get to like 5 months down the line, what's the first thing I sell? And honestly, you go like, what have I got? What could I extract the most money out of right now? It's the C200, first thing that goes.
Yeah.
Like, I love that thing so much. But in terms of the amount that's tied up in it, compared to, from a client's point of view, whether they'd still be hiring you, that's the thing that's sold straight away. That releases so much money. That's months worth of living.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of that, the two cameras that I have and use, well, the two cameras that I use mostly are that and the R, has some issues with it. But
You're cutting out.
Do quite a lot of stills work. I have a really good stills camera.
Your audio's cutting out, Ben. Yep. Hold on.
Your face is gone. Your audio is slowly stabilizing. And
hold on.
Wait for it.
They're singing They're singing the main song in Frozen 2. It's the main song in Frozen 2 is what's happening right now. They're actually rewinding and playing it again.
I think your audio is solid. So you're saying cool. The R you could do a lot with and use for stills.
Yeah, I could do a lot with, and with the right lens choice, which obviously we're not going to talk about just yet. I think that I could still make money with that camera. I think that would still be the thing that I would hold on to. It's not what I would buy though. If someone said, you've got $1,000 to spend on a camera, $1,200, whatever, it probably isn't what I would go for if I was starting from scratch. But in terms of what I have right now, that would be the thing I would hang on to, I think.
Got it. So you sell the C200, you bank some considerable coin, and you're still rocking with a pretty legit camera.
I can still eat for a few months, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can always buy C200 down the road, right? When it drops like another $4,000 out of nowhere, because that's how Canon rolls. Actually, now might be a good time to sell your C200 regardless.
Yeah, it might be, because at some point that camera is going to be $3,500 at some point.
It's not far off. There are people selling those for $4,000 now. Honestly, Jago missed one, and he hopefully he's not missed it, but the deal on this thing and the kit that was with it, the CFast cards, the batteries, everything. This was on one of the Facebook C200 user groups. Those things people are starting to shift gear, I think, already in a bit of a panic on income.
Sure.
So if you are in a position where you are still making money, or you've just got loads in the bank, if you want to buy secondhand amazing kit right now for no money,
this is probably the time to do it.
Now's a good time, you filthy vultures. Do it.
I'm gonna check just for everybody in the
giggles.
Chat here. Yep.
And then Eric says the question is, what will gear be worth in the near future? That's a question.
Nothing.
It's this is going to be, we're in it for the long haul, kids. So we're going to have to really support each other, and it's going to be an adventure. We're on a roller coaster ride, that's for sure. You find a price there, Caleb?
You were probably talking pounds, weren't you there?
Yeah, but generally things to go for a similar value, although obviously the pound value is more. US, UK tends to be about equivalent.
I'm seeing a lot of 200Bs open box for $443.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting
full kits.
Yeah.
I guess here's a couple full kits for 48.
Yeah. So
49. Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah. You could probably buy a C200 right now for what, 24 toilet paper rolls?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
maybe a container of Lysol wipes. I mean, they might have to throw that in the end. That's like that's the seal to the deal. So for me, it would be get rid of everything. I try to be realistic about this and say, okay, we're not pie in the sky here. This is not 2-camera interview shoots, right? We're going to go into a situation where
Billy Basics.
we're shooting an interview. We're going to shoot it in 4K. If we need to punch in, we'll post in 1080. Nobody's going to bitch and moan at us because we're delivering in 1080 right now. We got bigger problems to deal with. If it had to be based on the equipment that I own already, I would sell everything and keep the XT3. If it was that I could, if I could make the choice, I would do the XT4, which I, by the way, got another one in yesterday. So I'm going to be creating some content on the channel. So all those questions should be answered soon that people have about the camera. But XT4 for me is a good fit. And I never tell people you need to buy a certain camera. It's the camera that I love to use. It's very similar to Caleb, I think, when it comes to the GH5, maybe to a certain degree with Ben with the EOS R. There's something about that camera that fits me. I like the way I enjoy shooting with the camera. I wish they got their effing stuff together when it came to the ballsack app that they have. And it is really the feather in the cap for Panasonic when it comes to all the tools and the app control and stuff like that. But tactile wise and using the camera, I just really I love using the XT series. So it's a great fit for me. And so I would basically just stick with that camera. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to show people too. I've figured out the power bank thing where you don't have to spend $100 on the power bank, and I'm working it all out. All my money is going towards all these platforms I'm going to use online, plus all the little stupid crap I'm ordering from Amazon to figure out and sending some of it back and then ordering other stuff to make the whole XT4 workflow. I'm working it out for you kids. If we ever are able to buy cameras again. So that's my camera. Yeah, there we go.
And get your stuff from Amazon quick, because I read today that they're now dealing with only essential stuff.
That's correct. Yeah,
accessories.
That's right.
Fall into.
I mean, we're like, if you're an Amazon Prime member, I'm seeing on average 4 to 5 day, 6 day delivery, which is usually next day. Like, order in the next 12 hours, and we'll have it there in 13 hours. That stuff is gone. So we're getting in there. Wait, what did you do? You bought the E2 F6? Who did? Oh, Bart did. Bart did. Oh, he's telling Eric. Yeah, because they're. Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. What else are people saying here? E2. We got some other people. What other things are people buying besides toilet paper? Yeah.
Sam says work has a good amount of gear, so I could get away with getting rid of all my stuff. I'd sell my T100 and get a 70D.
70D, okay.
Rob's saying Canon M50 with the speed booster.
I would say maybe like Mark 6. What is it? M6 Mark II maybe would be a really inexpensive way to go. I think that's, for me. It's having that, just like you have with the GH5. It's having that bit rate. It's having that 10-bit 420 internally and being able to do 200 or 400 megabits per second. That means that I have a lot of flexibility. And I think the thing that hurts the Fujifilm ecosystem is their lenses are great. They don't have great video lenses unless you invest in the 18 to 55 and the 50 to 135. Of course, those are amazing. But I just don't think, I don't think that everybody wants to shoot with primes, and they're very steppy, like the 16 to 55 that I just showed you. When you're changing focal length, it's very steppy, and it looks like it's changing exposure. So you cannot do that when you are shooting. You have to treat it like a variable prime. So there you go. What's right? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if I'm Fuji, I would reach out to Sigma and allow them to take their 16, 35, and 56 set of primes.
Yep.
And make those available. Let them essentially access to however the code or whatever works for their lenses, because I feel like they'd sell more cameras, honestly.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean that's the big problem is
I'm sure Canon got a big jump when they got their EOS M versions.
Yeah, and they need to open up. I mean, Fujifilm has great glass, and you can adapt a lot of things to it. But they really need to open up that mount to other manufacturers, because I think that is hurting them a lot. I mean, that 18 to 35 from Sigma would be a great lens on there. That's a workhorse for a lot of people. And just being able to let people take advantage of the fact that it's really one of three companies that has strong AF and hybrid, which is, of course, Canon, Sony, and Fujifilm right now. Wake up, guys. At this point, you should be looking as an industry, as a manufacturer, to opening up as much as you can to everybody. This is the time when that has to start to happen. So Blackmagic, just let it all out with Blackmagic Raw. Atomos, get over yourselves, and let's get ProRes. The whole thing has to just open up, and I think everybody has to start letting everybody share, because it will be healthy for all of us. We don't need anything else working against us at this point in time. That's it. That's my soapbox. I'm done. Okay.
And one last note on the whole Fuji thing. It's not like they're going to lose revenue on lenses, because I don't know about you guys, but have you met like Fujifilm shooters, like stills shooters? They wear the hat, they wear the t-shirt, they have the lenses, and it's not like immediately everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to buy all the other lenses except for Fuji.
By the way, I'm drinking a glass of Kool-Aid right now. Yeah, exactly. Totally. 1,000,000%. Yep.
So,
but on the other point, just very briefly on that, is that it's a barrier to entry for a lot of people. If you've only got,
it's never very briefly with you, Ben. But okay, let's go.
That's amazing.
Says from mouth Schofield.
Okay, do it. Go. I'm ready. I'm preparing myself.
I'd made the point already. If you hadn't talked all over me, we'd be done by now and on to the next thing. Anyway, well, I was going to say, it's a barrier to entry if you only have that one manufacturer's lenses. That was it. That was all I was saying.
Yep.
Right, we can move on now.
Good. Okay.
Look at him. Look at him pursing his lips.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm just playing.
All right. So
we haven't done that in a long time. It's part of the show. Come on. We got to do it. All right, let's go.
I know.
So let's do lenses and then chat. I pay attention, chat. I'm throwing this one to you. You pick the next category. We're doing either audio or lighting. So one of those two. So we're doing lenses. I guess we'll just keep going in our order. For me, it'd be a mix of a speed booster and a couple whatever primes, and then a couple one or two Panasonic zooms. Just because Panasonic zooms, they're so tiny. At a 2.8 lens, it's a joke. It's minuscule. So I think one or two of those is super helpful, and then just some vintage stuff, and that's it. That's what I would roll. Like some Rokinon lenses, maybe, if I was doing stuff that needed to be a little more clean and not, vintagey.
Yep. Those are good choices.
If I'm sticking with that, GH5.
What's living on the camera all the time?
Either a speed booster with just Russian random lenses that I just want to get an interesting look, or I actually really like the 12 to 60 kit lens from Panasonic. Leica has it too. It's like 2.8.
What's the one that Olympus? What's the one that Olympus makes that I really like?
They have a what is it? 12
I love that lens.
12 to 35. 12 to 40.
Oh, I thought it was a 12. I thought there was a 12 to 35 that I really like. Somebody makes it. Okay.
There's the 12 to 40. Panasonic has the 12 to 35 2.8.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Olympus is great on Panasonic because you have the clutch system. It's not as friendly with.
What does that mean, clutch system?
So most of Olympus Micro Four Thirds lenses. At least they're like pro level, whatever lenses. They have a clutch, so you can disengage the touch to focus or whatever.
Got it.
And it's a normal normal real focus lens. Whereas Panasonic, I believe, is all whatever that's called, focus by wire.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Shiznut says, which bottle of booze would you keep? The answer to that is, the best camera you have is the one that's in your pocket. So I just keep the one that I have at that time. That's my only answer to that question.
By the way, prepare yourselves for seeing the same booze over and over for me, because I haven't been shopping.
How many bottles? Did you buy like a case of Basil?
No, that's the same one I've had for quite some time.
Okay.
Actually.
Well,
I stopped drinking during the week. See how this is reduced?
Yeah.
And that's what that is.
You see
Weekends
how I
only.
still have a beard and it's hiding that this hasn't reduced? There you go.
That's one way to do it. Yeah.
That's right. Keep your head down. Nobody will know. Okay, so so lenses for me, I would say, as much as I'm not happy with zoom lenses in the Fuji family, I have to have one zoom lens. And I'm going to probably say that now that I've done some tests, it's going to be this 16-55 f2.8. That's going to be a lens that's going to get a workout, but using it as a variable prime just for the flexibility of like corporate, kind of small to no crew production. I absolutely love their little prime lenses, and they're fantastic for AF. So the 16-2.8, the 23, the 35, the 50. I'm not going to be able to get all of those, but I'm going to have to probably pick and choose. And in the end, it's really going to depend on what kind of content I'm creating. So I'm finding that even though I'm sort of I'm a 23, 27 millimeter to kind of 50 millimeter type of person. That's sort of my range, depending on sensor size and what I'm doing, pushing to 85 if I'm on a full frame. I'm liking shooting wide a lot now. So the 16 millimeter on a crop sensor, I like a lot. But if I'm going to use vintage lenses, for me, it's always going to be Olympus OM. So I'm going to use the Olympus OM Zucos, and that's going to be my family of vintage glass. And then it's going to be, I'm not going to adapt to the 24 to 105 from Canon and all that kind of stuff. I don't want a monstrous camera. So I think I'm sticking to Fuji glass, and I'm going to probably, even though I have some really nice Nikon glass, Nikkor, I'll just say, I'm going to say that it's going to be the Olympus OM for me when it comes to vintage glass. That's what I'm doing. There you go.
You really have you've really been a faithful man with your OM. You've been talking about those for like over a decade now.
I love them. I mean,
I remember being a little baby.
They're amazing lenses. My father is a professional photographer, as is my wife, but my dad was he was a Canon shooter, and then he wanted to make his camera smaller. And the Olympus OM system, if you actually do some research, the OM series of full frame film cameras are absolutely tiny, and so are the lenses. So they were kind of like the Fujifilm of today, but they were, or mirrorless of today, but they were full frame cameras that were really small. Of course, the AE1 from Canon was also relatively small, but OM system was even smaller. And, the 56-1.2 is a tiny little lens, and all of their zooms are small, and they're beautiful. I mean, they really are really lovely glass. And I am, as you said, faithful, but I just mainly because I love the look of what they give you.
Nice.
But
now that
it's even just that tactile thing with those OM lenses, and that whole OM system with the camera bodies as well. They're kind of Leica-ish, and they're just beautiful, beautiful things to have.
They are
that perfect, like diamond pattern rubber ring on it.
Yeah, if I were Canon, like I have a series of 3 of those Voigtlander little pancake lenses, which I absolutely love as well. And the 40 is my favorite of the 3. I have a 20? Is it a 27 or 28? And then there's the 40. I think they're great, but really for the Fuji system, those are the best choices for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, now that we've skipped over Ben, we'll come back around.
Okay.
Carry on.
Unbelievable.
It's such a hard one. I don't know. I really struggle as to how desperately far down the line we are here. If we're really getting down to one lens,
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know about that.
is that
No, it's not that bad.
then? I don't know. I think it could get that bad.
Well, here
Could get that bad. If it got that bad,
yeah.
the lens that I own that I feel is the most versatile is the 17 to 55 2.8. Purely, I think that lens is sharp.
Yeah.
It is sharp. It's a great lens, particularly for the money, because like it's not worth selling that because they go for so little. It's 2.8, although it isn't really. It says 2.8, but it definitely drops off a little bit when you get down to the sort of when you're zooming into the 55 end. It's definitely quite a fall off, but it has the IS. So if you're using cameras that don't have that built in to the sensor, so like the EOS R, the C200, as a run and gun lens that does an awful lot with a very useful zoom range, it's fantastic. And to me, for those particular circumstances that we've been talking about, I think that it's more useful than the Sigma with the equivalent or the similar zoom range. Although the Sigma's faster, it has no IS. And if you're dealing with something like the GH5 that's got the in-body stabilization, then it's a non-issue. But particularly for both the cameras that I have, neither of them have it. So it's a big thing. So for a single lens, that is the one that I would keep.
Well, what camera are you putting this on? Which is the camera that you're winding up
right?
with?
They are.
So you're going to have to shoot it in crop because it's an EFS lens, correct?
Which you have to in 4K.
Which you have to anyway.
Oh, see, I don't know enough of that camera. It's a horrific crop. It's a truly horrendous, awful crop if you're shooting in 4K. It's also, I do a lot of stills, and it's still all right, but obviously you then end up losing a bit of resolution on your stills as well. But okay, so let's expand. Let's expand on your 17 to 55 though, and you get to add some other. Well, tell us the holiday thing, but then you get to expand, and then what happens, like Caleb and I, when you start to add other lenses.
All right. Well, so I took just that camera body and that lens on holiday last summer. The family holiday, wasn't doing any pictures, nothing that was going to generate any income, and it was great. It's still solid, but for stills, losing all that resolution, not great. So then the other stuff I've got, the Canon 2470 is an obvious choice, but it's still just, I don't know, never excites me, that lens, but it's
but it pay the bills.
Good workhorse. Exactly. Yeah. And I've earned more money from that lens, and I've got the original one still, which is not the sharpest, and I really need to update it. Yeah,
but it's got IS, unlike the new one. Although it sounds
conservative legend. Yeah,
it sounds like you have like shrapnel in a can, and you're shaking it while you're walking around with that thing.
I don't even. If I had this to show you just how battle scarred and damaged that thing is, that it's been sent back to Canon so many times. The same as my 70 to 200. This is the one that is just. I'm going to show you this one. This is just like so battered. Everything's just like destroyed on it. The body optically, it's still perfect.
Nice.
And that would be another lens that I'd be so heartbroken to let go. The 1635. It's easy to make money for doing interiors. That 1635 is a really good versatile lens. Again, not the sharpest, not the best, not the thing that's going to excite you, but for something that's going to generate you some income.
Yeah,
it's a good lens,
but cash.
Yeah, it's how desperate are we getting? There's the kind of the holy trinity, as it's always called, is that the 1635, 2470, the 7200.
Yeah,
and that's a kind of do it all range, which now Canon are doing with the new RF mounts. But yeah, if we're having to sell those, then the 1755 really is the Swiss Army knife, I think. I love my little Sigma 35 1.4 that I've got on here now. Love that. So again, so versatile. Such a versatile lens, particularly on this camera. Using it in full frame or going into the crop mode and being able to do quite a lot of night. I use that a lot for doing food.
Yeah.
Although it's a lot wider than you'd expect. So I don't know.
Caleb, for you, when let's say you're doing, we're getting to grip, Eric. Hold your horses, Mr. Bourbon Boy. I'm not hosting, so I don't actually know the answer. I don't actually know that. For you, Caleb, when you're talking about shooting, let's say GH5 with a speed booster, you have a choice of one focal length for a prime lens. Throwing a curveball here. What is that? Okay. What is the focal length that you're picking, Caleb, for your prime lens for basically the crop factor or the sensor field of view that you're getting out of it, or field of view, let's just say.
Right.
Yep.
If I had to pick one focal length or one lens?
Which it's a focal length and it's a prime. So if you had to pick one prime, which is a focal length that fit your GH5 with your speed booster, what would that lens be?
I find myself often shooting at 35. I think that's the most I've used on a focal length. 35, 30 to 40 is like where I land almost all the time on anything.
Okay.
So with a speed booster, though, I'm kind of enjoying like that Russian 58, the Helios 44, especially the newer one, the M, the one that doesn't look like it's literally been through World War I.
Yeah.
Just it's a really interesting lens, and that 58 is kind of a nice kind of like, put some stuff in the foreground and you get some really magical stuff. It's fun, but probably a 35 if I can only pick one.
Okay.
I can't find a good 40, a good fast 40 that's vintage.
Yeah,
it's harder to come across. There's one, the Konica, I think it's called, but that's at 1.8, but it's not amazing.
Yep.
So 35 it is.
Got
There's a lot of good 35s out there.
Okay, there we go. How about you, Ben?
35 all day long. It's my favorite focal length on full frame, particularly. It's just, I just find it the most versatile. You can still get very close. You can still get intimacy with portraits, particularly, and you've still got context. You can still place that person. You've still got enough of what's going on around. It's just, the most useful. And a lot of my favorite photographers, people like Josef Kordelka, who shot so much stuff on that focal length. I just think it's that beautiful sweet spot in between seeing what's going on around you and being able to really see detail and sort of intimacy in portraits, particularly. I love that. Okay. Yeah, no question. Easy.
Cool. Nice.
You?
APS-C Super 35. If I have my choice, it's 27, 28 millimeter, and then full frame it's 40. It's a 40 all day long for me. That's my favorite focal length on a full frame camera. It doesn't mean that for Fuji that I like the 27 a lot, the Pancake. There's not a great 27, 28 millimeter focal length. I've got to go 23, 27, okay-ish. And then I jump to the 35. That's just the Fuji ecosystem. But it really is 27, 28 crop sensor and 40 for full frame. So that's, if I had my choice. And then when I jump, I actually prefer 55, 56 to 50. I know it's just a few millimeters, but I like for something about that. And then I've always loved an 85, but that's just
same.
Me. So I know I'm saying a lot of things, but really, but in terms of two focal lengths based on sensor size, it's 27/28 and 40 for me all day long.
Yes. Yep. Nothing's. I don't have a lot of them or any of them, but I love a really fast 28. Oh
yeah, it's awesome.
The 28, like 1.4, 28, 1.8 is just delightful.
Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So we've got 14 minutes to fly through. Oh no,
17. Well,
to get
it seemed like it's kind of a split between lighting and audio.
Yeah, I counted lighting's the winner. So why don't we got to do lighting, sound. We could do grip, I suppose. But that could all. Yeah, we'll have to do some lighting rounds here. So I'll go. I guess next. For lighting, it's gonna be bring on your Aperture fanboy hats. Put them on, kids. 120D2. well, 300D Mark II, if possible. Otherwise, 120D2 with a 60-inch, not the light dome from Aperture, this 60-inch octobox, which you can get for even less with a grid. And then a couple small fixtures like either the Aperture MX, a couple of those, or maybe a cheap, smaller Fresnel or the F7. Yeah, so that's my deal. Yep. Not the Aperture Fresnel. I'm not really into that. They're smaller lights. The one or the 20Ds, mini 20s. They were good for their time, but there's better stuff now. So that's my scoop. Ben.
Very similar. 120D if we're just getting into slight financial difficulties. Then the 120D is fantastic. Love that thing. I have the light dome too with it, which I like very much indeed. And I have the Fresnel with it too. So I like that, but I think in terms of then going down to really being in dire straits, the F7s are just so versatile. I rigged up a thing recently on a shoot where I couldn't take a lot of stuff with me. Got the what's it called, the little softbox that was the kind of Velcro on thing for little 1x1 panels. Or slightly bigger than 1x1
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Defuse. I got the defuse thing, rigged up a thing where I could put two F7s into that.
Oh, brilliant!
Nice. And the grid for that as well. So it's all for nothing. You've actually got a fair amount of power for shooting an interview on the fly. So two of those with that, I think, in terms of real budget, and we're really needing to generate money from selling gear, then that's where we go. So pretty similar to you, I think, on that one. And again, I know it's a bit the Aperture show with us.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I'll throw in, if it's getting really tight, I'd sell all the Aperture stuff and just get or use my Falcon Eyes TDX light mats.
Yep.
Or there's another brand like Fulton. They're like light mats. They're stupid.
Yeah.
It's like dumb. Like 1x2 light mat for $100, $200.
Really?
Yeah. No battery power, but the Falcon Eyes ones you can do battery power, and they come in big sizes. They're crazy bright. They come with soft boxes. It's easy lighting. Not ideal. I'd prefer something larger source, but that would cut it. Cut the cut, as they say. And then people are mentioning the SL60. Those are like baller lights for almost nothing as well. They're like 120Ds for 120 to, $150 or whatever, maybe even less. I can't remember.
Crazy
stuff.
GM. I'm thinking small to no crew. I'm thinking lots of different environments. I'm going to go two routes here when we're talking about what lights. I'm not going to go daylight only here. I'm going to say I'm shooting interviews day in, day out. And this is probably a pretty not ballsy. It's just maybe left field a little bit. It's the Nan Light Mixed Panel 150. I have found that that this light over here is so versatile. It has like an active diffusion setting on it. So you press a button and it actually does like edge lit, and then you press it again and it goes to the larger LEDs. The Nan Light Mixed Panel 150, it's RGB WW, and it's $1,100. It's bigger than the 1x1. It's not quite a 1x2. And I am getting a lot of really nice stuff from that particular fixture. And it is, nice. I don't care about the RGB stuff as much, but I really do like that it has the bells and whistles. It's lacking in the app department. And to be honest with you, as soon as the 300X shows up and is actually available from Aperture, then that's the fixture that I would choose. So it's basically the idea of a 300D2, but with a bicolor option, because that's really what I want. I want to have the ability to not have to gel the light to get it to a color temperature. And for me, that's important in terms of my main key light. So I think if the 300X existed right now, that would be the fixture that I would choose. And then it's, smaller fixtures. I love the P360s, but they're expensive from Felix. I think that they're workhorses. But if I had to go El Cheapo, I would take the F7s over the MCs, even though I love the MCs, because I just need to have that output, and I need to be able to have, that slightly larger surface area in terms of what's happening. So yeah, but it would be one really versatile, basically bicolor unit would be what I love flex lights as well, but I think that I just get more out of this mixed panel 150 day in, day out in our apocalypse situation. Yep.
Nice.
I'm done.
Let's fly into audio then.
Okay.
I'm going to go real quick. If I pick one microphone and I have some way to give it phantom power, like the little XLR thing on top of the GH5, I'm going D3. It's great. Or no, I'm sorry, not D3. The Deity S Mic 2. My bad. It's just a rugged, simple, no switches, no pads, just a good old fashioned phantom power. Boom.
Interesting.
Done.
Wait. So you're saying it's a one mic that you'll? What were you going to say, Caleb? Say that.
Oh no! I was just gonna say this. I'm on the fence on it. Actually, it looks like the battery might be dying. The Rode NTG. It's not as solid enough when it comes to use. It's cool that it's got all this tech, but sometimes you plug it in and it's like, is it doing the right TRS thing? And you can't knowingly plug it into different adapters and cables without potential issues. So just good old fashioned phantom power XLR. And something that can get wet without problems. So
yes,
that's it. And of course, the recorder if possible, but I could go straight to a GH5 and be fine.
Yeah.
Copy.
Okay. Well, all right then. So seeing as I'm going to continue on with my stuff that I already have, and what am I going to keep of all of that? Probably the NTG2, because it can go XLR if I have some facility to be able to use that, but it's also got the ability to be run off a AA battery. So you can then put that through an adapter straight into a 3.5mm jack, which makes it, and it's a good mic. You can use it overhead if we're doing interviews and we've got cables and we can do all that. But we can also use it as an on-camera mic with a shock mount. Pretty versatile, I would say, for very little money.
Sweet. Jim.
I'm spending a little bit more, but not a lot more. And I'm going to do the Sony UWP dual channel receiver. And I'm going to do basically one transmitter that's a body pack with their lav, a little large for me, but I'm going to go with it. And then there's the plug-on transmitter, sometimes called the butt plug in our industry. Horrible name.
Plug. I think it's better.
Bottom plug, a booty plug.
Yep.
We're going to call a plug-on transmitter, and I'm going to probably just slap an NT55 on that sucker, because that's my go-to. I like that mic a lot. It's cardioid. It works well for interviews. So I'm giving myself a wireless lav and a boomed mic option there. I'm going wireless, which is a little, but that's what I'm going. If I have to go cheap, then I'm going either the Deity or I'm going the Rode route, which Caleb was talking about. But I'm really, honestly, I'm really on the fence there, because I'm a huge fanboy when we're talking about mirrorless smaller camera bodies with the wireless Go. I think it's so versatile. Oh, yeah. I'd probably actually do this. If I couldn't do the Sony system, I'd buy a wireless Go with the lavalier, and then I'd also buy either the Deity or the Rode basically equivalent, and I would plug that into the transmitter. And then I can boom, and I can also use a lav. So I can use one or the other. It doesn't give me the flexibility to do two different, sources, but it is I think it's a pretty inexpensive way to go. And Caleb, you have a lot of great content on how to use that wireless Go in ways that maybe people aren't thinking about using it as a wireless transmitter and receiver, because it has the transmitter has a mic port, so you can plug in an external mic. The mic doesn't have to be a lavalier. It could be a small quote unquote shotgun mic in terms of what you're using, right? What do you think? Yep.
Got a baller video with more tips. It's gonna
It
be
is a
whole
baller video.
dedicated to
Oh, you mean a new one? The old one's kind of baller. You have a new baller.
The new one's gonna
You're
be
calling it baller. You know it's good.
That's
then
very
okay.
pretentious of me, but
It is. But
it's literally
fine.
a video filled with Rode Wireless Go like hacks, tricks, and
when you dropping that? Is that like within the next month? Ish. Month.
Yeah.
I said month.
Yeah, month
I
and a
said
half.
month. I didn't say
somewhere in there.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I'm thinking of doing the Peter McKinnon knife in front of it. You know how he does his camera hacks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too on the nose.
Do it.
All right, so yeah, that's good stuff. Let's lightning round, Jem. I'm looking at you.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be really hard for you, but we're going to do a really quick grip round. Ready? Really quick. For me, it's going to be one C-stand with a grip arm and grip head, one air-cushioned heavy-duty stand that can hold like a 120D with a softbox, one Cardellini clamp, one super clamp, and a couple of nano stands, and like a couple little things like, you know, nano.
Keep adding shit.
No,
it's amazing.
Come on. I mean, I'm taking an entire studio and I'm going down to like something I can throw in my trunk. Okay. So for me, and that would be kind of, you know, a nano clamp, a little rapid baby adapter, you know, stuff like that. That would be it.
Right. Just that.
That's
Okay,
just
good.
that. But I saved a bunch of money with all my other stuff. I'm not over here with $1,000 RGB panels and $800 wireless microphone systems and stuff.
Wait a minute. You did say 300D2. You didn't say you started with 120D2, but you went to the 300D. Yeah. Okay. All right. With your big ass softbox, which is like the 60-inch,
half the price of the light dome. So
half the price of the light dome, which is cheap. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my.
$100, and it folds up just like the light dome too.
Love it.
Anyway, Ben.
Okay.
So Jem, think about it. We gotta get to the people here.
I think you pretty much nailed it. I would probably keep my Triad Orbit stands that I've got, which function very much like a C stand, but have their quick I/O system on it, which is very useful. Again, pile of clamps, little ball heads.
And that's hard to sell. If you already have that stuff, it's not like you're gonna make thousands.
You're gonna make. No, I know, because I've been trying to sell some of my TO stuff, my Triad Orbit stuff, for like 6 months, and like nothing on like various platforms. So yeah, you keeping that, and it's really versatile. It's great. I've got at the moment one stand with fixture on it on an arm, another arm with the big bit of beadboard on it. It's useful stuff. Right, that's fine. Tripod, I would. I can't sell the Miller. It's so useful.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm with you 1,000,000%.
That head's still great. I know the legs aren't perfect for the little floors, with it not splaying wide enough at its lowest setting, as we have.
I'm working on that. I'm trying.
Get it sorted. However, but yeah, I would keep that. I'd be really wouldn't want to sell that. But that little Velbon head that you and me love, Caleb, if we were really going down to absolute tiny money with my little, I can't even remember what brand it is. I have a tiny little Carbon Pro something set of sticks, and that with that little Velbon head, if we're really getting desperate. I think that's it.
Jem.
Yes.
It's time.
We start on the bottom with a couple of nano stands or compact light stands. They got to be there. I get a couple of maybe 492 LCDs to go on the top of that. Not LCDs, 492 ball heads from Manfrotto. Very flexible, and I can do a lot of stuff. One complete infinity arm kit from Matthews, because I can do everything. There's a Mayfair clamp, a super clamp on there, a baby pin. That's how I have the 13-inch small HD monitor on there right now, sitting on that thing. It can hold up to 40 pounds, so it's a beautiful thing. Arri makes some inexpensive, believe it or not, small light stands that have actual full-size baby pins on them instead of these bull crappy little pieces of
little aluminum garbage.
Yeah, let's not even
top.
out. That's what the mix panel is on over there. And then you tell me how many C-stands I can have, because I'll take as many as you can give me. But I want to have at least one full size with a 40-inch arm and one shorty with a 20-inch arm if I can. If I could only have one, it would actually be a full size with a 20-inch arm, because I love that little 20-inch Hollywood arm on a C-stand. And then if you're allowing me to, because we've been drinking for a while and we're in a good mood, just give me a mini grip kit from Matthew so I can get a some of those little mini Cardellinis and those little mini grip heads. I'll take Cardellini, Mathelinis all day long. I'll take grip heads all day long. You know how it goes. The more you give us, the more we'll rig it, the more we'll come up with solutions. But I will say, you got to have a good ball head in the whole equation, because you got to have something so that you can take a Mayfer clamp with a baby pin, and if you want to do a little like overhead or some other rig with your camera, you've got to just have one of those good quality ball heads in your kit for grip, because it will come into play. And that's what I got for you, Bart. Thank you. I made my time. You have my heart, Eric. You have my heart. I heart you, Eric Nazo. Or Naso, depending on the day and how I feel.
So we're just about out of time, pretty much out of time. Loving what we're seeing here in the comment section, folks. Lots of interesting chat. We didn't talk about everything, but is there any closing thoughts, guys? Anything that you would just completely get rid of, or we didn't really talk about like our priorities, because I'm sure, like for me, cameras are super low. It's like near the bottom,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me really, but I gotta have certain like lighting situations and certain stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of me would say we could continue on with this in the weeks ahead, but I'm pretty sure by this time next week everything will be sorted. We'll be back to work and all back to normal.
I don't know, man. I'm looking like
this is months. This is months. We've got a lot of post-apocalyptic shows that we need to
come up with like 2 months worth of videos.
At least, yeah.
Yep. You look. We have time, everybody, so let's not rush this one. We'll end this episode now, and we have so much to talk about. Next week, Ben will be the host, and we've got to come up with a topic. Maybe they'll actually even send me a topic and a description on time, so I don't have to make shit up. I'm just saying. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. We love you guys and gals and everybody who comes to this whole thing. We know not everybody participates in the chat, but it is amazing, even in these hard times, that we get to connect with each other. This is making the internet the opposite of what I've always said. It is the social distancing, at least locally, and now we get to use this technology to actually be together with each other. I'm not saying it hasn't happened before, but it's more important than ever that we are supporting each other as a community, that we have this because we're all sitting at home, or most of us are, or we should be. And I love you guys, and that's all I got to say for today. You guys take the rest of this thing out, and it's up to you. Go for it.
Ben, any sign-offs?
Just really echoing what Jem just said. This is, we know we've been making light of it, but it is a serious situation. This is not something that any of us have gone through in our lifetimes. It's unprecedented. It is weird. It's very strange for everyone, particularly those of us that are in areas that are kind of quarantining, and it has been made so much better by just interacting with people in industry who we're all in the same boat. We're all losing work left, right, and center, but everyone is making me laugh every day. And thus far, spirits are pretty high. This communal kind of sort of anguish, I suppose, but with our typical dark sense of humor is truly wonderful. And I've been looking forward to this all week, having not really been able to go and interact with real people outside of my family. So this is great, and I'm already looking forward to next week. So stay safe, everyone.
Yep.
And just keep your chin up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same as you guys, and also just this will someday be over. Someday, once that curve of illnesses starts to slope back down, the stock market will go back up. People will still need videos to be made, and you can always sell your gear. Prime information here on the internet. We're being helpful. So love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast to hang out with you, and we will see you next week at the same time, which is 5:00 Central Standard Time.
Yes.
And 6 Eastern.
Yep.
And the other times 3 Pacific.
Well, when do your clocks change over there, Ben? Is it by next Wednesday, or is it the week after?
After, I think we've got one the week after the usual.
So that would mean what? Has UK already switched over or not?
No. So 10 p.m. UK next week, 11 p.m. in Central Europe, and then the week after that we'll be back to the usual, which is 11 p.m. in the UK, midnight in Europe.
There you go. So those times we'll be here next Wednesday.
Love you guys. All the best.
Godspeed. Keep your stick on the ice. Wash your hands. Social distance yourself. And have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time.
Yes. All the best. Bye. Push the load.